Pass the Bag Podcast. Rolling.
Pass the bag. It's rolling.
Yeah, baby.
Mike is in a position where you can hear me really well.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2.
Mic check 1 2. We got lights.
Check. Camera.
Soundboard is rolling. Coffee is in prime drinking position.
Hey now.
And yeah,
Man, it's beautiful to see you, sir. It's beautiful to be here.
indeed.
It's a very special occasion.
Indeed.
Aside from the fact that every time we get together to do Pass the Bag Podcast, it's a special occasion.
Facts.
This is a special occasion.
Facts.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies.
children,
Ladies and gentlemen.
I am the one government name, Robert Edward Patterson II. Some people call me Mr. P from the 313.
And I am Adrian Black, and
This is the Pass the Bag Podcast because it's not enough for you to get the bag.
You gotta know how to get that bag.
And if you want to keep the bag, you must share the bag.
Now kindly pass the bag.
Boom, there it is.
So today we're gonna do something very special. I brought you into my home,
Yeah.
you know, so we can make this a very intimate Pass the Bag podcast.
The Black Cave.
Indeed. So we're going to talk about what life has been like in my last 8 years, and what this country is about, and what this city is about, and what your life is about, and what we've been doing here. A lot of changes are in the mix.
You know, there's a lot of experiences when we're doing this thing, Black.
Yeah.
You know, I'm constantly, I think it's good for us to remind one another about what makes us special as creators, as content creators.
Nice.
And these last 8 years, for those people who don't know, this brother here who's from Danville, Virginia, for the last 8 years of his life, with the exception of a 6-month period that we'll talk about,
Yeah.
has lived in China.
Facts.
And not just lived in China, he has loved in China. He has developed himself and helped to sow the seeds of community. And these experiences are unique, and I feel like it's not just enough for us to say it. You know, these are things that our listeners know.
Yeah.
And that's why the people who have been loyal to our content, the people who want our content, that's a big part of why they want the content. Because here you are, you know, 7, 8 years later, you've been here, and soon you will not be here.
True.
And even I myself, since 2013, since November 2012, about 5 years of my life have been lived in China. And so this is one of these things that I feel like is part of what makes us special. It's part of what makes you special. I'm excited.
We're special. You're special.
Oh, man, you guys are so special.
Facts. And we love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in. This is Pass the Bag. Let's get into the first bag, man.
Yo, what's the first bag, a.black?
Reading is what?
Fundamental.
So you got to read. If you readers are leaders, leaders are readers.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into the book bag.
Into the book bag.
Into the book bag.
What's in the book bag, Mark?
Man, I'm not going to jump into the book bag and talk about books without talking about what you got going on first. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
But
Okay.
what you working on right now that is pertinent to the book bag? Don't talk about it too much.
I won't talk about it too much. Working on a manuscript. Okay,
Nice.
It's the first novel that I've ever written in my life.
Nice.
And I would say that it's going well. I would say it's going very well.
All right, let's talk more about it later.
Yeah, we talk more about it later.
That's just a little teaser for me.
Any of you people out there who are writers, I encourage you to go for it.
Facts.
Really go for it. It's a lifestyle.
Oh,
and shout out to Masterclass. Even though we don't officially have that sponsorship yet.
Yeah.
The thing is that's been a big help for me.
We need that. Send them checks.
I'll keep it 100 with you. I have listened to Joyce Carol Oates, and I have listened to David Balducci, and I have listened to Margaret Atwood, and Dan Brown, people who are career writers and have been career writers. I've been listening to them, and they've been dropping that game on me. So that's all appropriate to share because we are in the book bag.
Facts. So the book bag, I came to China in 2012, and you came also in 2012.
That's right.
And what did we come for? We came here to be, teachers.
Yeah, and a
And every year, China recruits thousands, maybe millions of teachers and young business professionals, consultants to bring different skills to their country and help build up their country to what it is, to the superpower that it is today.
Yes.
So the question is, what's our ideas about China's open invitation to teachers, to business professionals, consultants, and all facets of life?
And I'm happy. I'm gonna tell you. One of my ideas is that I'm happy that we can have this discussion because
Facts.
I know that there are a lot of people who are the people who consume this. They're curious.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with this China thing?
Yeah.
I'm from Michigan. You know, you and I were both you and I are both from the states.
Yeah.
And we both ended up over here. And you know, that's one of those things when I've talked with my friends and family.
Yeah.
This is the thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Friends and family who want to know why China, right?
Right.
Or even people who are over here. But when you meet people who are over here, just like
Yeah,
you,
that's like
or just like
opening
me,
conversations. Like, why China?
that's
Such a great question, and it's a great opening line for any dialogue here.
I mean, my ideas about China's open invitation to these teachers and these consultants is that it's been great for me,
Yeah.
and it's been great for a lot of people who I know, including you and your family and your friends and all our friends in the community, artists. It's been great for me. It's been great for me for multiple reasons. Some of them we'll get into later. And I feel like knowing a little bit more about Chinese history comprehensively, right? Not just what they tell you in some book in the States, but the parts that get filled in when you get over here.
Yeah.
That it's one of the things that China does well
Right.
is helps to import culture.
Yeah.
And even if they're, of course they have a certain social doctrine, that's a certain unspoken social doctrine that's not exactly meant for you and I,
Right.
but it's meant for their children. But what they do through those invitations is they make sure that their children are exposed, that they have some culture.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. How you feel about it?
Exposed. I agree 100%. The one thing with being in the PRC, People's Republic of China, I feel like when I used to tell people back home, like what I do, they'd be like, oh, so you helping China take over the world. And I never really considered it like that.
How about that?
And then when they kicked it to me, I was like, you know what? In a lot of ways, you're right.
Sell out. You a sellout, cuz.
But I mean, you think about the way China approaches, other countries to develop, even colonize in some ways, and but they do it in a totally different way that the States did it, and that the English Empire did it, and that the Spanish did it, and that the Romans did it. In a lot of ways, those empires did it, with war, with weapons and guns and violence. But China's just doing it with a different approach, which is like money and like making financial investments all over the world.
Yeah, man.
And building infrastructure and setting up factories so they can like sell their products, because a guy kicked it to me here, like they can only sell but so much here, even having billions of people.
Yeah.
They can only sell but so many products, and then the U.S. market is already flooded with products from all over the world. So how else are you gonna get your rocks off but expand your markets? And that's exactly what they're doing. And I think English teachers and business consultants, designers, architects, from all over the world, they're just bringing knowledge and bringing information. And the Chinese are like, they suck that joint up. And I say this in a flattering way, but nobody copies better than Chinese people.
They biting over here, cuz. They biting. They biting your style.
They bite. They bite very well. They copy very well, and they adapt. And to some extent, if you ask a teacher here or you ask people, Chinese are really good at regurgitating information. You give them something, they can spit it back to you exactly the way you give it to them. But if you give it to them and this is changing, and I think that's one thing I felt like we've been a part of as creatives, is helping people develop their own creative voice. Because for a long time, people were so good at just regurgitating information, but when it came to like producing art and producing their own voice, it was missing in some ways in this culture. And at least with the people I know, I won't generalize. And I've met a lot of super creative Chinese people, and that's why I feel like that's changing and evolving, and it's becoming more of a presence. And when that happens, man, I can only imagine what the potential this country has, especially in this city, in Shenzhen. So yeah, that's what I think about the open invitation. I think I am in a lot of ways, and teachers and consultants and business professionals and artists are helping China to become, something that it always envisioned it wanted to be.
You know what? I love the part, the feelings that I have right now listening to you. I love them because I feel like this podcast is so healthy and sort of confronting certain things that we're not able to do unless we have this format. So in listening to you,
Right.
there's these things that pop up in my mind. Things about like specifically our Chinese listeners and like how they, when we share what our experiences are and what they've been, especially this first question, like how they would feel about that,
Right.
what their feedback, would be.
Right. So all our Chinese listeners,
Yeah.
hit us up, passthebagpodcast@gmail.com.
I don't know why I'm talking in
Let
my
us
quiet storm voice. Yeah.
let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think.
We want to pass the
because
bag to you because, this
It's
has
not
been our
about
home.
us. I mean, we just have a simple perspective from our experience, but I mean, we're not experts.
Yeah, definitely by no means. And by being guests here,
Right.
I think that's one of the things that I'm most excited about, hearing the feedback of individuals who are the ones who are hosting us.
Right. And tell us about your experience. What do you think about China's open invitation to business people, professionals? Comment down below.
Boom.
Like and subscribe.
Boom.
And it's a great question. Let's get into
the
that
Bei
next
Bag.
bag.
The Bei
The
Bag. The Bei Bag.
Bei Bag.
It's not like your Bay, like your Bay, like
my Bay. Bay.
Yeah.
What's up, babe?
Shout out to Mrs. Black. This is not like not like that Bei Bag, like the Bay that you meet on Tinder. This the Bei Bag, like the Beijing thing, that Beihai style.
Yeah. The BEI. The Bay.
When I first got here, boom, Guangxi, the stepchild of Guangzhou. They literally call it the stepchild of Guangzhou because
Really?
they say it looks like it's being stepped on by Guangzhou
Oh wow.
on the map. Yeah, they say it looks like Guangzhou is like a boot that's stepping on Guangxi. So yeah, I mean, what was our first experience like when we first got here outside of Shenzhen? You were in Beijing for a month. I was in Beihai for almost a year.
I was in Beijing for a month. So I came here in July or August of 2012.
Hey,
Got off the flight in Beijing. It was the middle of the night.
It was the middle of the night for me too when I first flew into Beijing.
Yeah.
Looked like a James Bond movie. It was all foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like waiting for some golden eye
Sniped.
to start happening.
I
Yeah,
was waiting to get sniped. Like, somebody hit me with 2 tranquilizer darts in the neck.
something like that.
Put me down.
Yeah, it was
Put
so
me
foggy.
down.
It was
Put
so
me
foggy
down.
that I was looking around, and even some of the people who I was walking with in the group, like it was like we couldn't even see to the end of the group. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But Beijing, man, I didn't love it. I didn't love Beijing. I've grown to have a different opinion of Beijing now. And I saw the Great Wall. I saw the Forbidden City. When it comes to culture and history of what China is, like Beijing is the spot. It's the capital. Well, it's the capital now. It wasn't always the capital. Look that up.
History.
That's pretty good.
But Beijing is beautiful, man. It's beautiful in a lot of ways, but it's also intense. It's just an intense city. I mean, there's so many people that live there.
We'll make it intense.
It's so many people that live there that based on like your license plate, like the number on your license plate, you can only drive certain days.
The driving rotation part.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
That was a driving rotation, and then there's a huge metro system.
So how'd it feel?
I was intimidated, man. I was super intimidated.
How long did that take for you to become intimidated?
I was intimidated before I even got on the plane.
Oh, wow.
I had never really traveled, outside of the States. except for like the Caribbean and things of that nature, Mexico. But that's still
Yeah,
America.
not really traveling.
It's
It's
not
fair
really
enough. It is
traveling.
still America,
It
but
is
still,
it
though.
is traveling. Like
Still.
the people in those places have a totally different culture, totally different vibe, right? But so it is a travel experience, but it's nothing like going to Asia. Coming from the Americas to Asia, like it's totally different. So I was super intimidated. What did you feel when you got off the plane in Beijing?
When I got off the plane in Beijing, I was like, ding, 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 because it was so foggy and so thick, and the only source of light really was these like those orange lights that they use,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and it was like all these real sharp corners and stuff like that, and like these like cargo boxes or something that we were moving past. It was just extra strange, and I was like, yo,
Is this on the airplane?
this is not right when we got off of the airplane. Yeah, because we did the thing where we got off of the plane and then walking, we just walking through these like really like what is this stuff doing like out here on the runway, like really big boxes that were like sealed off. Like no idea like why they were there like on the middle of the runway. It was like super strange, bro. So but I came from a place and a lifestyle where these types of irrational bouts of paranoia are normal and understandable. Um, yeah, yeah. And then I went in there to that big old empty airport because it was the middle of the night and flew down south. And by the time that I got off of the plane in Nanning, it was the morning. And when I got off of that plane, I wasn't entirely sure that I had got onto the correct plane because I could have swore I was in Vietnam.
Oh wow.
Because everything that I had ever seen in media about what Vietnam was and what it looked like exactly where I was at.
What did it look like?
Oh man, just that whole, super tropical, the types of clothes that the people were wearing, the types of, it looked like when you watch a Vietnam film and
Like rice patties.
they show you a city, not unlike the city, like the urban stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked like every other media depiction that I had seen of like urban Vietnam or urban Cambodia. So that was my first thing. My first thing was like, yo, this is really trippy, like that part, right? And that's my initial reaction. And then taking that bus from Nanning to Beihai, that's when all the rice patties and everything kicked in. And I was still bugging out because I was like, whoa, you know. And for me, that intersection of, where these two places come up against each other wasn't something that I was necessarily raised to be able to, listen to. There's no narrative about that. Beihai is 2-hour bus ride from Vietnam. So it's super close. And there's a lot of Vietnamese.
From Nanny, from Vietnam.
Yeah, yeah. Beihai is 2 hours from. You can get to Vietnam in 2 hours on a bus, which means if you drive yourself, you can probably get there in an hour.
Right.
So it's super close to Vietnam. So when I got to Beihai, shout out to Beihai, got down there, found out that that in Guangxi, that even the Guangxi, the government, that provincial government, is made up of like they're the most ethnically diverse in all of China. They have 56 governments, 56 different like ethnic groups that are realized, and I felt very welcome. I felt very embraced. I felt like I was in a place that there was a lot of love because the people had that. Man, it's no real equivalent in the states. Some of those little country towns where everybody really loves each other, where cats like really have love for each other. Where it's like, you know, if the neighbor falls down or something, and hurts itself and can't work for 18 months, heaven forbid, and everybody is a different person is bringing them food every day, and people are chipping in, and everybody like it was that kind of energy. I felt really secure. I felt super great. I felt good about myself for making good choices. That's how I felt, bro. It was. That was my first, impression, and the people whose faces I can still vividly remember, and
Wow.
yeah, man, I can still remember so many people's faces, even if I can't remember their names. I felt like if I went down there and I saw them again, I would just be like, boom, So I felt really secure, and I just really felt that camaraderie, You know, they got a different thing down there. They're all the Beihai vibe is one of those places that's sort of like at the edge of the earth for China.
Mm.
It is the edge of the earth for China because it's a little like Nowhereville. And the people would always be surprised, like, why Beihai? That's what they wanted to know. I felt like I was not exactly a celebrity, but I did feel like people were genuinely interested in me, which is a strong contrast to some other places
Right.
in the world and in China. So that's the bulk of the way that it felt for me. You know, after the James Bond thing wore off, I felt like I was in Nam. And then after I realized that, you know, there was no active conflict, you know, between the Yanks and the NVA, that after that wore off, I just felt like, whoa, I'm in a real community-oriented place.
When I got here, I flew here, and we were living in Beijing that month to do teacher training, like TEFL training, teaching English as a foreign language.
Yeah.
Training at Peking University.
All right.
So Peking University is like the Harvard of China for the most part. Like it's one of the most prestigious schools here, if not the most prestigious. And so I was really blessed to have that opportunity to like study there and like live on that campus for a while. Yeah, for sure. Look at this dude. And that was cool, man. That was really cool because the campus is beautiful. And I remember loving the like campus canteen food.
All
Like
right.
I remember loving the food so much. But also on that same tip, like I had broke up with my girlfriend for maybe 1.5, 2 years.
Oh, okay.
The summer before. So I got here in July and we broke up in maybe May. And this was like kind of right. Us coming to China was part of our breakup because she kind of just wanted like she wanted to get away. She kind of wanted some space. So she came too.
Oh, wow.
And she wanted to kind of like, she was finding her own path in the world at the time. Right. She was finding her own path at the time. And I, like being a lover of martial arts, being a lover of like Chinese Kung Fu and Chin Buddhism at the time and a studier of that, I was into it. Like, so when we heard about it, we were still together. I was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to go to China for sure. And I kind of signed up myself, and we didn't really discuss it. I figured, like, she going, I'm going. Like, why would I not go? But that was one of many things that kind of led to the end of that relationship. And we both came together, and she was the only person I knew, And it being weird that the only person you know is the person that you lived together with for, like, the last 2 years. And then for the summer leading up to the trip, we weren't living together. Like, we had both moved out. Like, I was like living a single life and, like had kind of started over, and then we got here, and then it's like, we're the only two people where we know. So that was awkward. It was awkward.
A lot of evil eyes.
Lot of evil eyes. I mean, but she wasn't an evil person, but I mean, it's just a tricky situation. It's tricky to rock up. It was tricky.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very tricky.
Shout out to Run DMC.
To deal with that.
Hollis Queens.
R&P Jam, Mr. J.
Mr. J, we miss you. All right.
All right. So with that, trying to balance like living close to an ex in a foreign country where you don't speak the language. I feel like in Beijing, man, I just had so much going on. I got sick.
Didn't you have a mega city advantage though, like that?
Nah, cause we were in a bubble, man. We were in a we stayed in a hotel right across the campus. We went to our classes. Like the only people I interacted with when I was in Beijing was people in my teaching cohort.
Got you.
Which shout out to Dave Vanami, this guy named Dave.
What up, DV?
Yeah, Dave. He was my roommate. Cause like when you get off the plane, it's like, all right, who gonna be your roommates? And it's that awkward moment, like you don't really know nobody. Like you gotta pick a roommate right then and there type situation. So Dave was there. I got super lucky. I was like, yo, let's roommate, cause like he was raised in the States, but he was ethnically Korean.
Yo, send in your stories about picking bad roommates, y'all. By the way,
yes,
send that in. We want to hear that.
Comment below if you ever had a bad roommate.
The Bei Bag.
I had a great roommate, but comment below if you had your roommate experiences. We want to hear it. The Bei Bag. # the Bei Bag.
Let's go, baby.
So Dave he looked different. I obviously look different. So
You know what I'm saying?
I went for the diversity, right? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick the because at that point I wasn't I was man, I had just finished. I was studying at a HBCU.
All right.
Shout out to North Carolina Central University.
All right.
You know, so like I was surrounded by people that looked like me.
All right.
You know, and then in college, you know, I had a diverse college experience, but all my best friends were people that looked like me.
Right on.
So I felt more comfortable in that moment with somebody that was, you know,
The other.
versus like the majority, like the norm, which were like white folks. Like I didn't feel really comfortable at that time with white folks. So when Dave was there, he was beside me. I was like, yo, let's be roommates because I didn't want to end up a roommate with a random white dude. I don't know what that was going to be like. I was scared. Again, I was very intimidated at this time.
Oh, wow. I appreciate your vulnerability around that.
Yeah. And so Dave ended up being awesome. And then Dave, you know, he looked to me to give him some game.
All right.
I was giving him game for the ladies, as I do sometimes. And the game that I gave him, he ended up talking to this one young lady who is his wife now.
That's what's up, man.
And they've been
I love
together.
getting my homies married.
Yeah, man. Got my
I love
homie-
getting my
I
homies
got,
married.
I got Dave married and Greta. Dave and Greta.
What up,
Shout
Dave
to-
and Greta?
Shout out to Greta. And then Dave, like fast forward years later, like I ran my first half marathon with Dave and Greta, man.
Man, you got some real community ties coming
Yeah.
up out the Bei Bag, huh?
Yeah, man. So like
I don't talk to nobody that actually I'm lying. My homie Lucien.
shout out to Lucien.
Actually, I'm probably not saying his name right. I think it's Lucien. But my man is he's in San Jose right now. Been on lockdown for 6 months or so. So I just want to give a special shout out.
COVID lockdown?
Yeah,
Or like-
COVID lockdown.
Okay.
In San Jose, California, working in the Bay Area. Let me tell you the Lucien story, straight out the Bei Bag. It go like this. He was my first private client that I had, okay? So I was working for a gal who was contracting all of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my first student. He was 19 years old. He was at Beijing University, Beihai branch, in the middle of nowhere. He was the top of his class. He wanted to do extra, of course, like most young, ambitious Chinese guys do. Wanted to go to MIT or something like that. And, you know, we worked together the whole time I was in Beihai, you know, tutoring him, you know, getting him to that, really giving him a personalized program. I'm so proud of the dude. And then after
Shouts to Lucien.
yeah, after I left, Mr. Lou and I kept working together online. And then, you know, ended up, just gave him the game. And as a result, he was able to get accepted into a master's degree program at University of Southern California.
Shout out to USC.
Graduated from USC as a Trojan, and you know, picked up an internship. I think he had an internship at like IBM, and he did that. And then right when he and then right when he picked up that JO in San Francisco or wherever it was, boom, COVID happened. Yeah, that part. Yeah, he been on lockdown ever since. I feel so bad for
Shouts to
him.
Lucien. Shouts to Dave and Greta. This is the Bei Bag. We're going to keep this story going.
Let's go.
We're going to get into the next bag.
Boom.